Hi, my name is Madeline Parker. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to do a read this evening for the energies of May 5th to May 13th. And we're going to talk specifically about what's going on astrologically right now, and it is quite an interesting week. We've got this North Node transiting into the sign of Gemini, which is quite a shift of energies, because we've had the North Node in Cancer for the last year and a half, where we were really kind of grounding what is in our heart, because it's the sign of Cancer, so it would have been heart. So we would have been really sort of, for the last year and a half, very, very much motivated by aligning with what was in our heart and what was a truth for us, realigning to sort of a more desired, heartfelt destiny, leaving sort of more secure base type choices. Capricorn in the South Node is what we leave behind. So sort of releasing more security based choices, sort of being brave to kind of step out more into our heart space choice or desires, or what inspires us more. And then now we're shifting into the North Node in Gemini, so we're going to sort of be releasing belief systems in the sign of Gemini. We're going to be South Node in the sign of Sagittarius will probably be releasing some rigid belief systems that sort of are old and out of date, and will probably be, with this Mercurial energy in the North Node in Gemini, be exploring new ideas, new forms of communication, new ideas, possibly small businesses, because it's the third house. And at the same time of all that, we have we have this Scorpio full moon happening tomorrow, same time. Then next week we have the 10th, 11th, and 12th. Around in there we have Venus stationing retrograde, Mercury stationing retrograde, and Saturn stationing retrograde. And we currently have Pluto in retrograde. So it looks to me like these retrograde planets, Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Jupiter is going to go into retrograde. What did I say? Pluto retrograde, Venus, Mercury, and Saturn. That's 4 planets. So that's going to be, plus, the North Node is in retrograde, too, always. So that's 5 retrograde. So this is going to be an interesting read. The thing that's interesting about tarot with astrology is that it's very hard when you look at astrology to know which of all of these energies is going to play out the strongest and how they're all going to play out collectively, together. And we're all impacted by these energies together, so they'll probably play out a little differently in all of our lives. They will. It's just interesting to see when I do a card read, to see what's going to sort of, how the cards like to pull all these energies together and sort of make a logical story, and sort of show the more dominant energies that are going to play out. So, to me, with these retrograde planets, at the same time as this shifting into the Gemini North Node, I think we're becoming, and then we've got this full moon in Scorpio. I think secrets are being revealed with Pluto in retrograde. I think we're going to see truths, materializations, revealing that are going to shift our belief systems because of this North Node. We're going to let go of some beliefs, and we're going to explore, we're going to intellectualize, and we're going to debate new ideas, new more progressive, we're going to let go of some of the old ways that we saw as solutions, and we're going to explore we're going to explore the new, of course, with all that in Gemini of that sort of intellectual energy. And then mind energy. So we sort of left the heart with Cancer, and we're going more into the mind for a while there. And so let's have a look and see, calling in highest guides and angels in this read to see how these energies for May 5th, 2020 will play out, for which energy will be most dominant, or how will these energies show up for us. Thank you, Spirit. 6 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. There we go. We get the Death card. See if you guys can see this. Knight of Swords coming in. That's a Mercurial energy. Death card. 4 of Swords. Lovers, Three of Swords. This is the Gemini card. So we've got North Node Gemini, Venus in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini. Those are all retrograde planets, which is more inward, which is more soulful, which is more, and then Scorpio, which is very deep and about death and rebirth. It's this card right here, the Death card. And then what do we have at the bottom of the deck? Six of Pentacles. I'm going to pull for a clarifier. Fool, there's your brand new beginning. So, all right. Now, I do these videos mostly because, I mean, it's fun to have a YouTube channel. I love to be a part of the YouTube channel and doing cards and everything. But the main thing is that I do a lot of card reads for people. So if you'd like a private read, do contact me. I also do workshops. And a lot of the people that I do reads for and workshops for want weekly updates and energy updates. So this is why I do this. So hopefully they are clarifying for you and helpful. All right, let's take a good study. Justice card right underneath the Death card with the Knight of Cups here, Four of Cups at the bottom. We get the Fool. So major arcana is Temperance, Lovers. Is that it? Death card, Lovers, Temperance, Empress, and the Fool card. Those are our major arcanas. Justice. These are very much death and rebirth cards. These are very much clearing out. Temperance is also that energy too of clearing out these fears that have been causing, I think, fears and desperations. Interesting. This read is interesting. So what am I getting? I'm getting a complete and utter mental transformation. Thoughts, transformation. Gemini, that's all about thinking. So we're getting, and then we start out with the Ten of Wands would indicate thoughts that we find burdensome are going to die. We're going to have a mental transformation. And then we get this Knight of Swords, which is very mercurial, about work and about cooperation with other people. So we're going to have sort of a shift in our way of thinking, a complete and utter death and rebirth of our minds, of the mind space, injustice. So becoming clear and becoming knowledgeable about that, about releasing some fears, balancing out of deep fears, and restoring a certain sort of peace to our internal, because these retrograde planets are very much about going more inward and restoring an inner calm and an equilibrium and a peace and an understanding and a connection with our inner self. So we get the peace, the Four of Swords in that section of the heart for me. So in the emotional, in our emotional world, we're finding inner solace and clearing of the mentality that created, there's like a death of mentality that caused inner turmoil. And we're balancing out of these are two cards that kind of mean the same thing, balancing the thought patterns we're letting go of thoughts and ideas that really don't serve us and that don't align with our truth and that don't bring us inner peace and healing. So the thoughts that are winning are the ones that are aligning more with an internal peace. So it's like we're creating, these retrograde planets are helping us discover what we need in order for us to live a more harmonic and in peace, heartfelt life. But again, this is to align our minds with it. To align, so we had all this, when we had these planets in Cancer, we had the North Node in Cancer, we sort of initiated a new direction in our lives that was more heart-based and more fulfilling, more calling. And now we're going to go into a place of strategizing, thinking about it, planning it, and releasing the fears around the old mentalities and the dogmas that held us back from being able to express our newfound exploration, or the new birth that came with that which is dead. And the new birth is the mentality of more freedom and in alignment thoughts that create a more at peace inner world in our lives. So it's almost like we're shedding the ways of living and thinking that created a lack of harmony in our lives. which then puts us more into harmony. Now we've got this Gemini card, which indicates this is hitting in, this is to make us more happy. So this is so beautiful. So these retrograde planets are coming in order for us to connect more deeply with what makes us happier, to release the dogma, the religious ideas, or whatever sort of mental programming that is going to die. That's what's happening with this Scorpio full moon. It's sort of revealing the mental, the programming that needs to die, that's stopping us. So we are seeing sort of a truth, and then communication coming in because of this rapid sort of understanding, rapid new understandings about not having to be so desperate. It's interesting. So it's sort of like, and not having to be so competitive. It's sort of like we're shifting to a way of living where we're more in our heart space, and we're doing what we feel like, and we're communicating and conversing, because Gemini and Mercury and Gemini in retrograde, we're exploring the way that we can express this new direction, releasing sort of desperate, competitive way of living, finding more peace in this ability to explore our truths and what really matters, and releasing the stagnant thoughts, or the old way of thinking. There's this old way of seeing the world that's dying, and we're developing new ways that it's just more heart, more love-based. And then I do think divine partners are probably going to come into union here because of this energy coming in, because we are sort of connecting deeper, at peace with our soul, releasing the fears that stops our soul from expressing itself, the burden, the weights that hold ourselves back, that hold us down, are lifting. We're seeing how unhappy some of our perceptions, because the Justice card, so we're now seeing a justice, a better truth that creates more peace and happiness in our lives, that's releasing fears. This is balancing out into a heart space truth for ourselves. What else can I say here? Let's pull a couple more interesting. What can you tell everybody for this week, please? What would be another important message? Well, this is understanding what we want. This is a deeper exploration, revealing what is baloney. I want to say bullshit, because this is hitting it's releasing the thoughts that we believe that kept us confined, and we're starting to see that we can let them go, and we can pull away from living in a way that didn't align with our truth, that didn't align with our soul, and that made us unhappy, and that made us work, that were disappointing. So we're these retrograde planets are so interesting. We're really becoming much more connected to ourselves, deeper, what we truly want, and then we can become we will become quite active, because we'll gain this clarity, because we're getting this sort of sudden shift of our mentality that's going to release certain ways of choosing to live, or certain choices that we've made in the past we are now not going to make. We're going to change the way we choose. So we're becoming, there's that happy card again. This is it. This is the message right here with that. It's the same card here coming in right here. So basically, because I get the Knight of Swords and the Queen of Cups, this is emotional out of alignment being caused by stress thoughts. So it's almost as though we're going to be, I see 11:11 right now. It's almost as though we're going to become aware of our fear thoughts that kept us. We're going to become more deeply connected to how we haven't had to be afraid we haven't had to not do what we want. The fears that gosh, it's so funny, my throat chakra. In other words, we haven't had to be afraid all this time. That's what it feels like. We're going to kind of have an awakening and a realization that we haven't had to, that these disappointments have occurred in our lives because we've felt a fear, desperation, or a belief system that trapped us in a way of living that was more fear-based and that restricted us. And then if we go to in other words, that stopped us from living our what we truly desire to live. So then we get the Temperance card here indicating these fears are balancing out, aligning us with our feminine, which would indicate, because we're pulling away from the competitive nature, we're aligning more with what we truly, with happiness, with what makes us happy and peaceful, and releasing the fears that cause competition or desperation, and then that puts us into a more feminine, nurturing, caring, peaceful state. So it's sort of shifting us more into our energetic feminine polarity, where we become more giving, more caring, and more nurturing, because we're not as freaked out, basically. Interesting. Interesting week. Interesting. So communications coming in. Again, the Three of Pentacles to me would indicate work, projects, communication coming, a rapid movement towards things, because there's been a mental shift. People are becoming more aware, because they're going inwardly focused. We're becoming more aware of what we do that's more emotionally out of alignment for our lives, and that's going to be we will then no longer want to do that. That will be what. So basically, that which burdens us mentally, we're going to release that, which then stops us from trying to be desperate in our way of operating in the world. All right, I hope that read was clear and helpful, and thank you so much for watching. Namaste.